Hey guys, we're so glad you're here with us today. We're first and foremost, you're all online. So everyone that's online, we want you to host a watch party. So all of your friends and family.
There should be hundreds.
Exactly.
Hundreds of shares.
Hundreds. So we want you to hit host a watch party. How you do that is click that share button, and from there you'll see host a watch party. Again, that lets everyone know that you're joining us today on social media and watching live with us. So we want them to know that. Also, if you would connect with us from our website, NAFCOG.org, that's where you can find out more information about who we are, but also you can connect there if you have prayer requests, things that are on your heart, or just questions that you may have about our church. Those are all things that you can go right to our website, click that connect with us, and give us information about you and ask us questions about us.
Yeah. So my staff is really working hard at trying to figure out how we all can be together more often because of this COVID thing, right? So we had some great ideas. We did the ice cream and prayer, and then we did the worship in the parking lot.
Yep.
And now we're going to do a fall get together as a family, and that is going to be on Sunday, October 25th, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And what we're going to do is we're going to have hot dogs together. We're going to have popcorn together. We're going to have a few snacks. We're going to get a few games together for all our families, and we're going to have a lesson for our kiddos. Super excited about that. We're going to be doing it outside, and we're going to be doing the parking lot or in the grass behind the office. So there's going to be a great environment for you to all to come together, social distance if you want. We're going to be outside, but a chance for us to have community together, doing some cool things with a lesson on a Sunday evening. Be there or be square.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Hey, and also, I know we love to sing and worship together, and we are going to do another hymn sing. So if you are available on Wednesday, the 27th, Wednesday, October 27th at 1 p.m. here at the church, we will be doing a hymn sing. We'll make sure that it's Facebook Live as well, so you can check it out there. But we are opening the doors, so if you want to come and do a hymn sing with us, that is on October 27th, which is a Wednesday at 1 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing some really cool and exciting things. Already thinking about 2021, and in order for us to have these great plans that we have and that God is leading us towards, we would love to have your help. And to do that, we need also some finances. And so your offerings and tithes allow us to do that. And you can give 3 ways. You can give online at nafcog.org, and you can click on the give button, and we're able to receive those funds there that way. But also you can go through eTithe. eTithe is so important because when you call the office and set it up, it can help us know when that tithe is going to come in regularly. You get to set that up, but also there's no charge at all for us when you do that. All of the money that you give through eTithe goes directly to us. There's no percentage taken out like it does when you give online. Also, you can give in person next week when we see you next week in person, okay? So you can give that way through the offering plate, but there's always 3 ways to give. We love that you're able to help us through this and to move our mission down the field in the year of 2021. So great. We're focusing on discipleship, focusing on how to reach our community, how to fund our vision that we have for 2021. Your help allows for us to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
And hey, we're really thankful for today and that we're taking a day of rest. And we hope that you are at home resting with your family as well. So we hope you have a great rest of service. Welcome home.
Trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. No, I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna fear the storm. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you. We live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song, worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your arms to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
All right, we're going to start with the reading of Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. So the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in them was completed. On the seventh day, God had finished his work of creation, so he rested for all his work. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because it was the day when he rested from all his work of creation.
Yeah, so we're continuing our series today on Back to Basics. But before we go any further, we want to tell you why we're doing Sunday the way we're doing it, the why we're doing it. It's so important to understand the why, because Alexis and I really feel called to not only speak about rest, but we are to model rest. And everything that we're doing here at First Church as your leaders and as your pastors, it's not enough for us to talk. We really want to put our talk into action. We've been talking more and more and more about putting the teachings of Jesus Christ into practice. What good is it to talk about rest, but not actually rest? Our teams, my staff, needed a rest. We have been at this even after we closed the doors with COVID. We need to model rest. My team was needing rest. Even though we had our doors closed and people were at home, we still were here participating in service, making sure everything ran right, making sure all the stuff was happening behind the scenes was happening and happening smoothly so that we were able to continue to have church. What I want us to recognize is that we need to model rest to everyone who is part of New Albany First Church of God. So that is why we're resting today at home. And so we are allowed to be able to record this and then deliver a new message for you while all of our teams and my staff are able to be home and having a rest with their families. So we want to continue to talk to you today about what rest is and how to implement it into our lives.
Yeah, and you'll notice this is a little different than a normal sermon, and that's because Terry and I have conversations fairly regularly of just what the Lord is working on us with, things that we've experienced, and also just how he's guided us in different things. And one of those things that we've really been discussing is this idea of rest, and what does that look like? And we haven't always gotten rest right, and sometimes we thought rest looked one way when rest actually looked the other. And so what we really want to do this morning and with you is to walk you through kind of what God has led us to understanding of what rest actually is. So we want to talk about, first, what is it actually, what do we think rest is? What have we thought rest was? And then, we'll talk about what rest actually is. And, for me personally, one of the things that I always thought rest is that I just didn't have to go to work every day. It's like that day of the week or 2 days of the week that I wasn't actually in an office or I wasn't actually doing my paid job. And so, anything that was aside from that was kind of my rest time. And it really just kind of looked like not being in an office. But I would also have things, that I'd be doing at home and different things like that. But the biggest focus for me was I just wasn't working. And that was where I was supposed to find rest.
Yeah, and when we're trying to find rest, because rest is really important, we really can't and aren't able to have rest unless we know actually how to rest. And when we started to discuss what we thought rest was, we found out real quick that we actually didn't know what it was and what it meant. And for me, it wasn't necessarily about being away from work. For me, it was doing nothing. That if I'm just doing nothing, then I must be resting. And so I kind of came with this quote that we talk about, and it's is that rest is not the art of doing nothing. Because I think a lot of us have maybe an art of doing nothing. I'm able to zone out on my phone. I'm able to scroll through social media. I'm able to play video games. I'm able to do nothing. And I can do nothing really well. Actually, it doesn't, not too hard for me sometimes. So sometimes it is. But I thought if I could practice the art of doing nothing, then I was resting. And I found out real quick that wasn't the case. And when I allowed myself to not be working, paid or unpaid work, or if I allowed myself to do nothing, taking weekends off, taking vacations, why is it, and you and I talked about this, why is it then that we come home, go back to work, or come off the weekend, go to work on Monday or Sunday, whatever day of work you go back to work, why am I still exhausted? Why am I still overwhelmed? Why am I still feel like I didn't get any rest at all? And we started to discuss that actually what we're doing is not rest.
Exactly. And I think that was part of what kind of even got this started was man, I'm just coming back from a vacation, and it's like I need a vacation from a vacation, right? And I also think about how many people, right? And I'm still busy when I go home, right? It's not that because I am off of work that there's not things that I'm doing at home, right? There's housework that needs to be done, mowing the grass, taking people places, and doing different things that still make it busy. And what I think is that I'm resting, but really I'm not. And I even think, we've talked about this. Even people who are retired, I have so many conversations with, you have all this free time, you should be really restful, and they're just as busy, if not busier, than when they were working full time.
Yeah, it's so important to know that many of us, even when we think, oh, wait till I get off of work, or wait till I get out of work, or wait till I don't have to work anymore, and then I'll have that rest or that time or that I can just let go and be myself. And we have found that's not true at all. And so, yeah, like you said too, unpaid work at work, unpaid work at home. I mean, how many times have you found yourself exhausted because on Saturday you're doing nothing but pulling weeds, mowing the lawn, fixing up the camper, fixing things around the house, having to cook food for the kids. I mean, my wife alone works or behind off Monday through Sunday. I mean, there's not a day of rest there at all unless we learn how to rest like God has asked us to rest.
And that's what we really want to talk about is, we got into Scripture, and where does Scripture tell us, and what does it show us about rest, like true rest?
Right.
And so we found in the Old Testament where God really is talking to the Israelites about rest. He literally set it up for them. And what I found is that as Israel is being brought out of, as the Israelites are being brought out of Egypt, right? They've been out of this bondage. They've been out of this system of doing. God has made it very intentional for them and has created something that was not there before this. It was once they got out of Egypt that he created Passover. And it was a time where he told them, this is a time for you to be together, to feast, but also for a reflection. And in that, remember who I am, who you are, and what I've done for you, what I've brought you out of. And it was in that time that we really started to understand what rest really was.
Yeah, I love that because God was so intentional with them with rest that he said, not only are you going to eat this meal, but every part of this meal, some of you might know it as a Seder meal, but it's a Passover meal. Every part of this Passover meal, you are going to use it as reflection. So what I love about this is God is saying, I want you to take a rest and eat. But while you're eating, you're not just doing nothing. You're going to remember what I've done for you. So even as soon as they're leaving Egypt, where they were robots, right? They were machines, where you're going to work 7 days a week, and you're going to run 20 hours each day. You are going to go, 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 go. And the first thing that God has them do is to slow down. And then he says, I want you to reflect. So it's not just the art of doing nothing. Rest is not the art of doing nothing. Immediately God establishes the Passover. He establishes the Seder meal. And you are going to reflect on the things that I've done for you. So it's really important for us to understand that. That's what rest is. But we also know that the 10 Commandments came, right? Moses was instructed by God for 10 commandments. And one of those commandments is you have to take a Sabbath, which I love what it says in Deuteronomy chapter 5. So it says this, observe the Sabbath, right? So we want to look at the word observe. Observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. So there you're seeing, you're dedicating a day to the Lord. Well, what are you going to dedicate? Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first and foremost, you're observing the Sabbath, and you're going to also dedicate it to the Lord. And remember that you were once slaves in Egypt. A few verses later, it says this, you were slaves in Egypt. I want you to remember that. But the Lord your God brought you out of with his strong hand and powerful arm. And that is why the Lord your God has commanded you to rest on the Sabbath day. He's saying this again. I want you to remember what I've done for you. I want you to remember where you've been. I want you to remember the places that I helped you escape from. I want you to remember the times I was there for you, that I was helping you remove you from certain things in your life and the things that you're able to do. I want you to remember the things I've helped you remove you from and all the things I've done for you. I want you to take this day and reflect on it. It's so important for us to remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where because we get to see this example, right? Because I go back to the thought of the Israelites, they were reminded of what God has done. And so often when we are, busy and we're working and we think we're resting,
Yep.
I'm not worried about what to reflect on what has happened. I'm worried about the to-do list that is to come. And then that's what gets me overwhelmed. I don't take that day of rest of just really reflecting on what has God brought me through in the last week, even to really show me how to live my life going forward in that. And this observation of, again, who I am, but then also
Right.
what God has for me going forward.
Yeah. So we really want you to understand, first and foremost, that the Sabbath is not just the art of doing nothing. It is literally you are intentional with the time that you have, and you put it aside, and you observe and remember what God has done for you. Remember the times where He's taken care of you, where He's provided for you. The other thing that I really love what God is doing in this moment, in this time, is He is literally wanting you and I to know that your value and your worth comes from only being with Him. It's important for us to remember that second piece, and we'll get to more of that in just a little bit. But the first thing that we really want you to see is how the Jewish culture lived their life, their day-to-day life, and they still do this to this day, is that the Sabbath is so important for us to remember that we must prepare for it ahead of time. Because they wouldn't do anything on the Sabbath, and they wouldn't, cook, they wouldn't clean, they wouldn't do anything, because they wanted that day specifically set aside for you and I to remember what God had done in their life. And for that to happen, there has to be a structure, right? So there's some structure in a place. They're saying, when am I going to take my Sabbath? Because we talked about that too, because your Sabbath and my Sabbath are going to look different. And when are we going to take it looks different too. Because some of you are saying, Pastor, I don't know what my day is. My day is so weird, and my schedule at work is weird. Listen, Sabbath is the day that you choose it to be. It does not necessarily have to be Sunday. Sunday, I work on Sunday.
I work Sunday.
Yeah, we work Sunday. That is not our Sabbath.
Yeah.
My Sabbath is on a Friday, and I know what my Friday is going to look like. And it's so important for you to know when your Sabbath is going to be, because I love what the Jewish families do, and what they did, especially when God instructed them to take a Sabbath, is they literally would prepare for the Sabbath. So like their food, their fruit, their cheeses, all that stuff was already prepped. It was cut, washed, dried, made. Certain parts of the supper was already really planned ahead, and then they did some really other cool stuff, which you get in a little bit. But who they allowed over to their home was really important to them too. But in this time, is we want you to remember the structure that needs to be put in place, that the Jewish homes prepared ahead of time of what Sabbath was going to look like. It wasn't just, we need to take a Sabbath. No, it's like, we know Sabbath is from this time to this time, and we need to have this prepared and this planned, because that way we are using the full 24 hours to remember and reflect on what God has done for us.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, that's where we want you guys right now to sit and reflect. If that's getting your phone out, if that's getting a piece of paper where you can write these things down, because this is what we want you to do. You want you to be intentional about what day of the week are you going to take your Sabbath. You have to choose that day first and foremost, because in that, then it comes the rest of it. Right. But just like Terry said, our Sunday is not a day where we can take Sabbath because we work that day, right? And so we have to choose a different day of the week, and it can literally be any day. It doesn't matter, Monday through Sunday. You get to pick what works best for your schedule. What we want you to first and foremost is to carve out and find that intentional time where you're going to say, for 24 hours, this is my Sabbath. This is what I'm planning to do. And so in that, the next thing that I want you to do in this is to make a list. Make a list of the things that give you life.
Yes.
If that's people who give you life, if that's a place that gives you life, if that's activities that give you life, that's the big piece of this is when I go and spend time away with my family, when I go, sometimes it can be tiring, but if I'm really taking a Sabbath day, I'm going with my family, we're out, we're hiking, we're doing stuff that we really enjoy doing together. And in that is when I get a piece of getting to reflect what God has done, seeing how he's moving in my family's life at that time, and I'm just being with my family, people who give me life, doing things that give me life. And so that's what we're asking that you do, is you find that time, schedule it into your calendar, and then also what are the things that you're doing during that time that actually give you life? If it's people, if it's places, if it's a activity, those kind of things. You know, one of the things we talked about is doing something that isn't work, but it feels like play.
Yes. We don't want you to do anything that you are producing something. Mm-hmm. It's not work, whether it's paid or unpaid. Now listen, though. I love this quote that Peter Scarsero, he says, I love this. He says, we are intentionally looking for the evidence of God's love and all the things that he has given us to enjoy. So the Sabbath, again, listen, I'm not saying you just sit and do nothing. Because some people are like, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at just doing nothing. I can't just sit on my hands, or I can't just sit there and watch a movie. We're not asking you to do that. Mm-hmm. What is it that you're intentionally looking for on the Sabbath that shows the evidence of God's love and the things that he has given you to enjoy? Listen, my wife, she cooks a lot during the week, right? I love cooking. Now, it's not necessarily I have the ability to cook through the week because of I'm at work or whatever. But listen, I find joy in going outside and grilling. I love it. I love smoking food. I love using a charcoal grill. I love trying new recipes. That gives me life. And you know what I love about it is I'm able to use something that I love. I'm a foodie. You know, I love different types of food. I love different types of restaurants around town. I know what good restaurants there are. So I love in finding out a recipe I can make that we all love as a family, and I find life in that. And when I find life in that, I'm recognizing how good God is. And first of all, I love being outside when I grill because I can see the leaves and the birds, and I sit on my back porch as I watch my food start to cook, and I'm able to enjoy God. And the other thing is I love to do on my day of rest, just kind of give you guys an example, is to go golfing. Golfing is restful for me. First, I'm intentional about who I golf with. I don't want to be Pastor Terry when I go golfing. I want to be Terry when I go golfing. I'm intentional of who I go golfing with. And the other thing is I love the smell of the grass. I love the birds chirping. I love the wind that blows through the leaves. And really 80% of the time when I'm on the golf course, I'm reflecting. I'm thanking the Lord even for the breeze and for the gorgeous weather and the trees and nature. It's why we as a family, when we have our rest, we go hiking together. We're doing something, but we're being together. And while we're being together, we're talking about how our lives have gone through the week, and we're asking the kids what have they recognized God doing in their lives. And I'm able to really look up and see the sky and see the sun pour through the leaves. And even if it's on a cooler winter or fall day, we're able to enjoy the color leaves and what God has done for us. And we're just blessed. We're blessed to even have a day where all of us as a family can be together. And we're able to do things outside of the house. It's really, really fulfilling for us. It is really restful for us when we do those things.
Yeah. And hey, that's part, the thing that I think about too is, and this is, once we've found those things that give us life, we've created the day that we're going to take, we have the things that we find life in that give us energy, those kind of things. This is the important part, right? And you kind of mentioned this in yours. It's preparing for that day.
Yes, preparing, yes.
Because, just like you're talking about cooking and things like that. I know that that's something that you find joy in, and maybe your wife not so much because that's what she's been doing. But it's preparing knowing that the Sabbath is coming so that hey, I don't find energy from cooking, but maybe it is that I have, just like the Jews,
yep,
right? The Jewish people, they have been preparing for this. They have the meals already set. I'm going to use paper plates instead of, our normal fine dining, utensils and things, so that there's no cleanup. There's nothing that makes me think that this is going to be work, but it's truly a time of rest, truly a time of I've prepared for this day so that when I get into it, I'm not thinking of a to-do list, but I'm thinking about just being with the people, the places, the things that bring me life.
Another great thing is Little Caesars $5 pizzas. I mean, really, it's $5. We don't have to cook. We literally love it, where, Chris and I, maybe it's a cool winter day and you can't go outside or it's too cold for the kids to go outside. We've come up with something special we call pizza and burp night. And because we have 3 boys, of course, so we always challenge each other with Coke and root beer with pizza, and we call it pizza and burp night. So it's just a special time for us as a family with boys, of course, to do something special like that where they enjoy being. And then we'll rent a $1 movie from Redbox. So it's just that time where we're together. But we're also telling them that this is why we're doing this evening, because we want to reflect on how good God is. Look at the things that we have. Look what we're able to enjoy. Look at the time we're able to have where Daddy and Mommy are able to be home at the same time together and be able to spend time with our family. So it's really important for you to find that structure and plan ahead. We don't want you to just get to that day where like, oh man, I need rest. Because the culture we live in is work, vacation, work, vacation. And really it's about Sabbath, and it's about working, and it's about Sabbath, and it's about working, and it's about Sabbath and working, and then vacation. And even then you're intentional with your vacation of what you're doing, and you're intentional with the time you're spending with one another.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to just mention is what happens when we start to experience rest, right? When we actually are sitting in a time, not where I'm not doing anything, but it's of a time of true rest, a true Sabbath. What does that look like? What do we feel when we come out of that? And the things that I've experienced are this unbelievably amount of being known, being known by God, being known as the person that I am, being known as Alexis, and also this worth and value that I've been given. And again, this reflection of restoration and building up again of this tired, I just come into Sabbath and am tired. I'm tired of the week, the heaviness of life that's taking over, and it's where I'm restored, I'm refueled. I also get really creative. It's when I start finding that I'm productive and I can do things, and my brain works in a much more creative atmosphere because I've taken that time with the Lord, and I really truly reflect on who I am, whose I am, and what He's been doing in my life, when so often when I just want to do nothing or I'm just going to try to get away, it's literally to escape those feelings of I just can't do everything. It's overwhelming. I'm exhausted. What more can I do? And those are the things that I love about rest so well, is that I come out, I'm a changed person because of the time that I've spent away from doing, and I'm just being.
Yeah, I think a lot of us get really disappointed, or we think we're doing something wrong when we take weekends off and then we're still exhausted. We take vacations and we're still exhausted. Is that we're trying to determine what rest looks like. And what I love is we came up with this, is that our value and worth comes from being with God, not in doing things for God. Listen, we live in an upside down kingdom. The human kingdom, the earthly kingdom say, work. You're productive. There's your value. There's your worth. Your value and worth is what you do. And God is saying, no, I've established in you, I've commanded you that you find your worth and value in being with me. Being with God is what's going to give you what you need. It's going to allow you to be who He created you to be. And if we don't learn how to rest, if we don't learn how to set time, structured time, to be with the Lord and to reflect on His goodness, His kindness, what has He saved you from? What has He delivered you from? Think about the things that He's been able to do in your daily life. Remember how He got you through those difficult times in your marriage. Remember those times where He was able to rescue you out of those pits of despair, that depression, that anxiety, the overwhelmed fear and doubt of not thinking you were going to be able to do the things that you thought you were going to be able to do, and He came and rescued you. And that time of reflection, you remember and you recall the things that He's done for you and how He's restored your life. And when you begin to understand, it's not about what you did, it's about who He is. And you begin to have value and worth because of what you're doing in your time of being with him. And what happens is exactly what Pastor Alexis just described, is it allows for us to move and to be more creative and to have the energy. One day of not doing anything but reflecting and being with people that we love and resting allows for us to do what God has called us to do and to be who he's created us to be because of one day of reflection, of remembering how he took us from captivity and set us free. It's why we put these things into place where we model to you rest. Because here's the thing we want you to remember. When you begin to rest and you begin to remove yourself from social media, you remove yourself from your phone and binge watching TV or watching news all the time 24/7, you take a day of reflection. You know those days where you're sitting in your couch or your chair and you think you have no value, you have no worth because maybe you are at that age where you're not able to get around like you used to. But what if? What if you took time to reflect on how good God is? And you recall into your mind the things that he's delivered you from and the things he's been able to do. And God begins to speak to you and he begins to tell you in that time of rest, you have value, you have worth. You begin to remember the times of those cards that you received and those text messages that you received and that awesome card you got in the mail from a friend telling you that they loved you and that they were praying for you. And God says, I want you to do the same thing. No, you may not be able to serve 24/7. You may not be able to go to church. You may not be able to do the things that you used to do, but you can send a phone call. You can send a text. You can call someone up. You can start a prayer ministry. You can help write curriculum for a kids ministry. You're able to type with your hands or write a card or make a phone call to a friend who you know needs a special word of encouragement. You are able to do that because you took time to reflect and God was able to speak to you directly of the things that he's asking you to do. You have value and you have worth, and you will learn what that looks like and what that feels like when we begin to implement rest into our life again.
Yeah, I love, man, that in of itself just sums up so much of what we've experienced and what God has done. And it makes me excited because knowing that now we are modeling that for our church,
Yes.
right? We're modeling that. We're making that stance of saying we're going, our whole sermon series, right? Going back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it truly starts with rest. We're truly finding who we are by just being, not by our doing. And in that, I'm excited because I'm excited to see what happens when we start taking rest.
Yes.
We're going to see fathers and mothers who are better parents because of this.
Yes.
We're going to start seeing families that are going to be restored. And again, this pressure is going to be off of them for doing activities, but truly being who they are, and leaders and people who are just finding their purpose, finding what God has created them for. That's what makes me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say thank you to our people who are watching, but also just this church where we're able to say, we're going to take a day of rest,
Mm-hmm.
that we as leaders get to say, hey, we're going to ask that our doors be closed, so that our church, not only our staff and our team leaders and our worship team and things like that, but we want our church to know that it's a time for rest.
Yes.
And that I'm so excited for. And this idea of like we're going to have people who know now who their value, their worth, because they get to spend time. They're taking the time out of each time during the week to find a rest, to find Sabbath with the Lord. And it just gives me chills, and I'm really excited.
Yeah. So we just want to say this to close. We are asking and praying that you structure rest into your daily calendars. Your weekly calendars. We're asking that you would use that time, that structured, premeditated, planned day to reflect on the goodness of God and what he's done for you. And what we also want to do is that you are going to learn how to rest fully, truly rest. Engaging in activities that give life, not in production, not in producing, but in being with the Father. And then may you find your purpose. And in this, may you be set free to learn what it means to create and to do what God has asked you to do by being with the Lord. So we love you and we thank you for this time of spending with us and learning what it means to rest. May you implement that into your weekly routine. And may we see God move in this city and this church because of your ability and your intentional discipline and obedience of going back to basics and finding rest in your life. Would you pray with us? Lord Jesus, thank you for speaking to us this message. And we ask that your Spirit would just move into people's hearts. Speak to them, Father, that their value and worth is not in what they do, but who they belong to. May they learn what it means to be with you. And that thing that they're looking for, that idea, that creativity, that value, that worth, may they find it when they learn how to slow down and reflect on the goodness of you. So, Father, thank you for this opportunity and thank you for this day and this time that you've given us to slow down and rest. And we give you all the praise and glory and honor in your name. Amen.
We want to thank you all for listening to our message this morning and giving our team a day of rest. We would love for you to connect with us. Go to NAFCOG.org because many of you are knowing that rest is something that you need, and we want to help you out. This is going to be an ongoing, continual conversation. Pastor Alexis and I want to help you with that. We can't help you, though, if you don't tell us. So please let us know. Connect with us, NAFCOG.org. On there, you'll find the Connect tab. Click on that. Fill out the information on there. As soon as you push send, we get that information, and we would love to help you find more rest in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, and hey, we really want you to share this message as well. We know, not only from our own experiences, but from conversations that we're having, that this is such an important message in our world right now. And we want to make sure that your friends and family also get to hear this message of taking rest and what rest truly means for us. So again, to share, all you have to do is press that share button on the video and it goes directly to your Facebook page or any other places. I mean, we're on YouTube as well, so you can share that link in an email to your friends and family. Again, this is a very important message, and we want to make sure that as many people can get connected with that message so that they can understand what true rest means and the great peace that comes out of the rest that we find in the Lord. And so again, we want to connect with you. You can connect with us on our website, nafcog.org, and go to connect, or just any questions you may have. You can put all that right there on our website. We love you guys, and we hope you have a great rest of the week.